Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be looking at the main aeta part for Repique in Samba. Just the basic thing that you need to really master this instrument and the thing that you should be spending most of your time on. We'll look at a bit of technique and a bit of like positioning and how to wear the drum and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of from the ground up today. If you've been around for a hot minute, you'll know that I made a video like this in 2020. I've changed a lot. And my approach has changed a bit as well. So I want to just talk about some of those techniques today. Starting off with wearing the drum. I'm right-handed, and you might see that I'm wearing the drum on my left shoulder, which is contrary to the kind of typical school of thought. I got showed this way by Gabriele Policarpo. Most people would play with the Repique on a strap on the same hand as their dominant side, like so. And then I picked up, when studying with Gabrielle in Rio in 2017, to wear on the other side. Reason being is that most of your energy is coming from your dominant hand anyway. 3 of the 4 notes in your aeta part is in the right side. With that in mind, there's an argument to be made about the energy of carrying the drum and the responsibility of most of the notes coming out of your dominant hand. If you're left-handed, obviously, you can flip that methodology. When you've got it on the other way around, it's important that the hook is still facing that way, the way that you want the drum to sort of tilt. If I were to have this hook facing the other way, it would sort of naturally go that way. And to be honest, this way, more towards that side. And to be honest, it's worth experimenting with and just seeing what approach works better for you. I found this works better for me. For Repique, for every other instrument, I put it on the other side. But for this, it just feels natural to have it this way now. The general technique is, in your dominant hand, you're going to have a stick. I've seen some people use normal full drumsticks, like my teacher, Luquinhas Eduardo. He uses a drumstick from time to time. Some people like the kind of tapered conical sticks. I prefer just a standard Repique stick. This is just my personal preference, but any of the above it's worth experimenting with throughout your practice. Just find what's right for you. I like these short sticks. I think they work great. You can use them for agogo or caixa encima. I'll sometimes use like a normal drumstick or a caixa stick. Then you've got the hand. It's worth saying from the start, the hand needs to be gentle, unless you've got the Gabriele Policarpo signature model or you've done some DIY to your Repique. You're not necessarily going to have a comfort curve like here, which means that you're going to be hitting your hand off of metal, and your hand will never win that fight. It's always going to be the metal that wins that. So how do we go about that? Depends a bit, and it's worth experimenting. I like to have kind of just over halfway of the hand over the metal. I'm not aiming for the metal, I'm aiming beyond the metal, which is the important part. So most of my energy and most of the contact is beyond the metal. I'm not really hitting it. Obviously, after like a 4-hour session, you're going to be a little bit bruised there, a little bit battered. There's not much avoiding that. A lot of it's just stamina. And not hitting it too hard is really common early on. Like, I can't hear myself. I'm going to hit it harder. Don't hit it so hard. Keep your hand relaxed. No tension in it. I feel like because I'm a hand drummer mainly, that this doesn't affect me quite as much, but it, over time it still does, and it's just getting used to it. Obviously, having a Repique where the head is really close to the rim is good, or again, if you've done a bit of DIY and angled one of the edges down the way just to kind of help make that more like a conga or a chimbal or a djembe or whatever. There's a bunch of different sounds that we can get out of these just these 2 weapons of choice, I suppose. But a lot of the idea is being able to replicate in the hand what you can do with the stick and vice versa. Looking at the main aeta pattern is a good way to start with this. Our first note is just dead center of the drum. And that's on the pulse. Yeah? 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Dead center, basically just hitting the pulse. So if you took out all the other notes, you're just playing 1, 2, 3, 4. The pulse, yeah? Your next note is going to be a rim shot. This is in some ways the hardest part because you've got quite a long distance to travel. So I'm taking it from the center of the drum to the stick being about halfway to the center, the end of the stick that is. Rim shots are deceptively difficult to get, but once you've got it, you know what it sounds like. So the first two notes, and that's taking up the first two 16th notes, so the first two semiquavers. 1 E and 2 E and middle rim shot, middle rim shot. Yeah. The next note in the aeta sequence is another rim shot. The last note in our sequence for now is just going to be an open tone with our hand. So it should sound almost the same as though we're just hitting the drum just in from the edge but not getting a rim shot. So really slowly, that sequence is. Playing that a bit faster, just to demonstrate that. I'll play it at tempo. So, to talk about this important part of the technique in the stick, because you may have noticed when I'm playing there, I'm not just sort of letting the stick roll willy-nilly, which I see so many people doing, and it's fine and it's good to have the technique of being able to roll the stick and still get that sound. But it needs to be controlled. What happens a lot of the time when people are starting to get used to this pattern and playing it faster is that it just sounds you're letting the drum roll down a hill and getting like umpteen different notes out of it. But the idea is to really nail that and get 3 distinct notes. When you're learning this, what I'd recommend to beat that is building your stamina of playing all 3 notes distinctly before getting into the rolling territory, right? So even when I'm playing, there's a threshold where I need to switch. So if I start off nice and slow, I'm going to speed up. So being able to increase that threshold of how long and how fast you can be with each individual note. is crucial to getting your sound right. Another element of this that's really challenging is being able to have your tone in your middle of the drum louder, if not just as loud, as the rim shots which naturally cut through. So you don't need to put much effort into the rim shots. To begin with, sure, so you can get used to making the sound and getting it right and getting it more consistently. I've been playing Repique for a long time and I'm still, very inconsistent, but it takes time to get used to that. One way that I go about that is by playing it as a double note, right? So we're not playing each of these 3 notes individually. So really slowly, got the middle note on beat 1. The momentum on my stick, over exaggerating it of course, is going up the way, away from the drum. You can pinch your fingers down if you use that technique. Obviously over exaggerating it here still, to get the second note out of it. So I'm getting 3 notes for the price of 2, right? I'm only using my arm twice. Which is what saves me and many players a lot of energy when playing faster in particular. I would keep working on that as the basic thing. Don't add too many complications to it, right? I'm going to build up a decent amount of stamina on that. There are, of course, variations to this approach and ways that we can add more to it. Basic way to add more to it that's very, very common is in our hand, alternating between a tone and a slap sound, or rather a slap then a tone. So before beat 2 and before beat 4, where we've got typically the marcação on the 1, 2, 3 to 4. It's a slap. And then just before beat 1 and 3 is a tone. So nice and slow to demonstrate that. It's so alternating on a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a. With the slap, I'm using a bit more of my hand, and the contact point really is the fingertips, whereas in a tone, it's more of the actual rest of the fingers, right? It's just got such a beautiful melody of dugaraga dugurugu dugaraga 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 dugurugu dugaraga dugurugu dugaraga du. I love it so much. There are, of course, so many nuances with all of this, right? You're not going to see players playing it the same way twice every time. It might not be obvious when people are playing faster where they're starting. Some people might be starting to save their energy towards the edge. And you can still get that same punch, but you need to put a bit more effort into getting that out of the drum. Whereas starting in the middle, there's so much more punch and weight behind that you don't even need to try. Some people just the tone, some people do slap only. I found the approach that I've been taught by many of the teachers I respect, like Luquinhas and Gabriel, is alternating between the two. And starting in the middle, 2 rim shots, slap, and then tone. So take this with a pinch of salt, you know. I'm a gringo, like you probably are if you're listening to a tutorial in English about this. Gringo in Portuguese is different. But yeah, you know what I mean. You know, we're not Brazilian. We're not studying directly in a samba school for here. With any oral tradition, you're going to hear different things from different people, and that's cool. This is what I've learned, and this is how I approach playing the drum. Video has been useful for you. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought, any questions you want to follow up with, and like that. And it's been lovely seeing you. I hope to see you in the next video. Until then, take it easy.